Welcome to Speaking Candidly with Candace, where we talk in depth with everyday people about their fears and struggles and how they have overcome them. I'm your host, Candace Schoner, and I hope over the next half hour you'll be inspired, engaged, and enlightened to live your best life. My guest today is Ty Cooper. Ty is the business owner of Lifeview Marketing and Visuals in Charlottesville, Virginia. He is a talented promoter. He has promoted over 1,300 events since 1993. He is a screenwriter. He is a documentary producer and like to call a good friend. So Ty, also I would like to mention that Ty is from Harlem and is very passionate about diversity and inclusion, which is often a subject of some of his documentaries and creative work. Welcome, Ty.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, before we get on to your latest project, which is Amanda, your screenplay, I know you're involved with Virginia Organizing. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came to be and what you're working on together with them?
Well, with Virginia Organizing, I started a documentary called the America's Darkest Future. And basically what it is a documentary pretty much covering the inaccessibility of early pre-K education in this country. And I do a lot of comparisons between what's offered in this country and what's offered in Nordic countries such as Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and so forth. And by doing that compare and contrast, we're trying to advocate for expansion of pre-K services for all. And I traveled the country with that. And Virginia Organizing is the nonprofit fiscal agent for it.
Excellent.
Yeah, our nonprofit partner.
So we've talked about some of the questions I would ask you, and I'm going to kind of do some of these things a little out of order.
Of course.
You've talked about Harlem, you growing up in Harlem. Did that had to have some influence on your personal and professional life? Can you talk about that?
Well, Harlem is everything to me. I am Harlem, so definitely it's influenced everything about me, the way I look at life, the way I look at others, and the real grind that I put forth into all my work and my projects is coming from Harlem. I wasn't a sheltered child in Harlem. Had a big family, raised by the family, and we just really tight, really close knit and tight. So I think I live by loyalty standards, and that really truly kind of it shines in everything that I do.
Well, how was your early education? Because you're working on this project about pre-K. So did you feel like it was a good education, or that you did not get the proper education because of where you grew up?
Yeah, no, pre-K. No, I went to school. I went to pre-K on Central Park West. So my experience was unlike my friends and even my family members. My mother worked for a dentist, and the pre-K was right down the street from her job, and her job was in Midtown, about 70 something. I think about 80 something in between Central Park West and I think that was Columbus. So, I had a different experience. I had a great pre-K experience, and I was really school ready. And a lot of people in this country are not school ready by kindergarten or first grade. So, and it starts in that age 0 to 5 year old time frame in a person's life, in a kid's life, for them to really set the building blocks on top of that for success. So at least increase their chances of success.
Well, you've obviously had a great deal of success. Tell me, how does one come from Harlem to go to Charlottesville, Virginia? I know you went to college, but how does one like yourself get into promoting?
I was a student. I was a college student at Norfolk State University. So at Norfolk State, I just saw a void. I saw people needing access to put their head down, to have fun and be engaged with other people and just experience new experiences. So I created a bunch of events, College Weekend on the Slopes. I went to a historically black university. So a lot of black people didn't ski, right, by comparison.
Right.
But in New York, a lot of black people skied. In Virginia, a lot of black people did not ski. So this was like a new thought back when I started the company and started that event. And I added other events too. You know, College Weekend at Kings Dominion, Black College Reunion Daytona Beach, like the stuff that you see on MTV and BET.
Right.
Yes, I was doing those events. Freaknik in Atlanta and a bunch of others.
I think we first met when you were doing the United Nations Comedy Tour in Charlottesville, your first one. And aren't you on your 6th season, is that right?
No. Well, I met you. That wasn't my first one, but that was probably my first one at the Paramount Theater.
Okay.
I started that tour in 2002. So, but in 2000, I think it was 11. So this is the 9th season. That we just had. Very successful.
Well, congratulations. It's been very successful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun. I go every year. I'm planning on going again. The next one's in November.
Yeah. The main one's in November. I'm going to do other comedy shows throughout the year, but the main one at the Paramount is November.
Right. Yeah. And how did you get into film and video?
So basically, I'm pretty demanding when I need what I need and want what I want. So I used to deal with other people who created my commercials for my company. So they say I'm promoting the ski trip, right?
Right.
With all the colleges throughout Virginia, North Carolina, in Maryland. And so I need a commercial done. So sometimes I may need a commercial in like maybe 3 days from now, right? But I call someone and say, hey, I need a commercial. So it was so many times that person could not do it for me or get it done, at the time that I really needed it.
Right.
So I said, well, you know what? I picked up, one time I was in the editing room with him, with the person who used to do mine, and I sold the program that he was using. So I went and bought the program, bought a new computer. So I started editing my own stuff. And then I started putting it on television, right? And when people saw it, they said, who shot your commercial? And I say, we do it in-house. We, like, W-E, but it's just I. But we, to make it look bigger than what it was, the company that is. So then some people said, well, I need a commercial done. So then I started doing their commercials, and then what's funny is that I started doing so many other people's commercials that I started to outsource mine again. So I went back to the person who used to do mine.
That's pretty funny.
Because I was charging more money for a client, to my clients than I was paying him. So I was like, well, I'm gonna just let him do mine. I don't want him to know my other clients. So I did all my other clients by letting him do all my commercials again. And
pretty smart.
Yeah, and then after, once I got good at it, then people started to, once I got good, and then I said to myself, well, you know what, you need to probably revamp your company. You need to still do the promotions and events, but also just create this marketing entity where you're helping other people realize their goals or their dreams and so forth, and that's how it morphed into what it is today.
And is that why you sort of gave up your promoting the comedians and the national artists and indie music makers to concentrate more on your own stuff? Yeah.
I really, I still do some of the events. I still do the Best of Both Worlds Dance and Step competition, which is huge. A lot of the colleges and they participate in that. I get the prizes money. I give about $2,500, $3,500 in cash prizes. I do the comedy. I do other events. I got the indie short film series. So I still do events, but nowhere near what I used to do. I mean, sometimes back in the days, I had maybe 2 events happening in Norfolk over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. On that same day, I would have an event happening in North Carolina and one happening in Baltimore. So all at the same time. So I just had staff. So it was easy for me. Not easy, that's not the word, but it was, I was able to do that and stack up those numbers with 1,300 events because I had so many events. I was so busy. But I still do some events because I have love for it. And I love seeing people enjoying themselves based on my idea, my work, my vision. And so that's why I continue doing those. But yes, I have become more of a filmmaker, and I get a lot of gratification from that creative process.
Well, one of the things that I appreciate about you is your boundless energy and your creativity. I'm
tired.
I bet you are. I know that you're also, written some plays, and you're now on the screenplay Amanda.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about Amanda, or tell our audience about it.
Amanda is a sweetheart. She's someone who I created. She's someone who I call the mistress. I'm not married, but I call her the mistress. Like, she is that other woman that I created, and she's just an amazing person. And she, when I created Amanda, the script and the character, it became something I kind of started to get lost in. Really trying to build her up, like who is the perfect woman for me, right? I love artists. I love creators, right? I love a person that has that thing about them that I'm very attracted to. Someone who can create, someone who has a vision, and I gravitate to artists. I just gravitate to them. So I created Amanda. Amanda is this woman who from California, so she got this kind of like carefree spirit, right? And then but she's in New York, went to NYU. Actually, NYU is the only school that I applied to, and I didn't get accepted in high school, from high school, right? So NYU was always a dream, but more of the Stern School of Business, not the Tisch School of Arts. So, but anyway, she went to the Tisch School from California. She lives in the brownstone in Brooklyn. Her father still take care of her. He's a real estate mogul in California. But she's living in this brownstone. She don't have any family in New York, and she lives in this brownstone with this lady, a black lady. Amanda's white, but this black lady, she owns the brownstone, and she's like a second mom to her. But her mother died from cancer when she was 9 years old, and all she really remember of her mom is like suffrage. So she, but there's like these memories implanted by, I think, by her father about how the pancake smell in the morning that she was cooking, you know. So but she really, truly, honestly, she doesn't remember anything good other than her mother dealing with ovarian cancer and really like down and out, and medicine's not working and blah, blah, blah. So, but anyway, she's an artist, she's a painter, and she's looking to get her work into this art gallery in Brooklyn. And she ended up kind of falling in love over a 3-week span with this guy who she gave a hard time to for a whole year. But come to find out that
who was that guy?
Not me. And this guy named Pharrell. I created the character Pharrell. And so long story short, though, she ended up having brain cancer. She'd been struggling with visionary stuff, you know, some vision impairments and stuff like that. And so she's someone who you love, but the reality is life. Life has its realities, and life has its endings, and it has its ups and downs, and it has its beginning. So I really want to show all that within Amanda and how she impacts all those people around her. And most of it happens in a coffee shop.
Sounds like a really great idea for a screenplay.
Yeah.
Now, how much research was involved, and what's your next step? Have you finished the screenplay?
Yeah.
How do you plan on producing it?
Yeah.
Do you have any deadlines set for yourself and distribution?
Yeah, well, the process initially, as far as research, I interviewed someone who had brain cancer. She had a tumor, had it removed, and she told me everything that she was experiencing. Like, she'll walk on a downtown mall, and sometimes she will look at the ground when she's walking the brick pavements, and she couldn't tell where the brick pavement stopped and ended. Like, so she would take these steps because her perception was off.
Right.
And she always told me that, that she would just would see more than one thing, or she'd look in the sky, how the clouds would be moving, but it just looked like really totally weird to her. And she, so I interviewed her for like over an hour. I took her to lunch at the Common House. We sat for an hour and a half, hour or so, and she just gave me all the stuff, because I had it where Amanda had all these medicines in her cabinet. And it was supposed to be cancer medicine, right? But she was telling me, so I asked her what kind of medicine. She was like, medicine? What are you talking about? She said, once I found out that we had this, I went right into the emergency room, operating room within that week.
Oh, really?
So there was no medicine at first,
Right.
So I didn't know that, right? So, but with the research, that's how I figured out that, so what I did put in her cabinet in the opening scene is medicine, but it's more about what's the word? What's the word?
Like just general.
Like when you're dizzy, vertigo. It was like vertigo stuff and seasickness stuff because motion sickness.
Right, because I'm imagining you don't know what you have as brain cancer.
She was diagnosed with
vertigo.
Vertigo, and it wasn't vertigo, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But she found out when she got a CAT scan.
Yeah.
And then that's when, stuff happens. I'm not gonna tell you that.
Don't give away the ending.
But it's an interesting ending, and it's really sweet, and it's all about community. And as you stated earlier about some of the stuff that I do, it's like I'm all about community, and Amanda has community. It has the person She has a person who opens the door, who was an attorney.
Right.
Once was an attorney, but he did something and lost his license to practice law, lost his family, money, spiraled out of control. So now he's opening the door for people at the coffee house. Then the owner of the coffee house, who he's about to lose his coffee house because of gentrification in Brooklyn. The rent is so high. It's been in his family for 2 generations. So all these people have stories that I'm writing the short film. So those are the next things. Like Amanda has Amanda. Everyone has their story like that.
Which is sort of why we do this podcast, Speaking Candidly with Candace, because everybody does have a story, and I think it helps to educate and create a dialogue for others. I would like to know, though, as far as your story goes in your screenplay, do you have anybody in your life that has passed away and through very unfortunate circumstances such as cancer, and how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I have, and that's one of the reasons why Amanda exists. I have another project called Faces of the War, which is a video series about portraying 20 different people, and these are caregivers of people who died from cancer. And so cancer is really something that really impacts my life. My mother just beat cancer. She had breast cancer. And,
congratulations to her and you.
Thank you. She's in New York, and so she went to she had the best cancer hospital in New York. So she had access to the best of New York that New York had to offer, which is the best. So she, so my aunt died from cancer, throat cancer. That was that really impacted me when that happened.
Yeah. You mentioned that family is really important to you, and it's obvious by the way you passionately speak about your community and your family.
Yeah.
What I didn't mention is you're a single father and a grandfather.
Yes, I am.
So how do you balance that with sounds like a very busy work schedule?
Well, I was a single father, so I raised my daughter. My daughter would live with her mother at first, but I would always go up there to pick her up, from New York and take her to class with me, when she was real young, when I was still in undergrad. And so, and then when I relocated my daughter to live with me in Virginia when she was 9, I just revamped the whole business. That was a good time for me to start the marketing company as far as doing stuff for other people, being more of a booking agent, managing artists, and things of that nature, and still promote a lot of events. But I was able to do everything from home. And part of our negotiation for her to move with me was that I'm going to take her to school every day. She don't have to ever take the school bus. So I did that. So waking up in the morning, taking her to school, and then no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I'm at, pick her up from school, every day. So I had to change the business because I could not be on the road 3 and 4 weeks at a time like I used to.
Right.
So, so even now, I fast forward now, I had my granddaughter here for 5 days recently last week, and Saturday morning I went out to the Christiansburg area where they live, and surprised her at gymnastics. And, I wanted to see what my money was paying for gymnastics anyway. I wanted to see what she was doing. So she's great. They're great.
Well, I've seen you post about them on social media, and they're both adorable.
Yeah, they are.
Especially the grandchild, and I love how you banter and try to have teachable moments with her.
Yeah, always.
What do you want your kids to know or get from you?
Perseverance. Never quitting, never stopping. My granddaughter, she already knows how to get to me a little bit because she knows that I don't believe in quitting and giving up. So she'll say something like, "Well, Papa, I gave up riding my bike, trying to learn how to ride my bike." And I said, "Well, that's because I'm not here, but you're going to learn how to ride your bike." Stuff like that, So I really want I wanted my family to know you just persevere, because people who came before me, they had to persevere for us to, be in well, we're not in a good space now, as a country as a whole, but to be in the space of opportunity, you can't, make any excuses, People can always try to stop you no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. Someone always want what you want or what you're trying to attain.
Right.
So your best bet is to just persevere, go through the challenges, and get to the other side.
What would you say your biggest challenge was to get to where you are now?
I'm far from where I want to be, so I don't think I'm anywhere yet. I'm in the beginning stages. I'm very humble when it comes down to the craft that I'm in, screenwriting, filmmaking. I look at people like Roger Deak. I look at No Country for Old Men, and I look at the cinematography, and I'm like, I'm nowhere. I'm doing what I'm doing, but when I look at that, and I'm like, what made him make that decision? So, but my challenge is, just being a black man in America, coming from Harlem, presents its challenges sometimes, and me having a New York state of mind and New York attitude, sometimes that could be a challenging situation when you're in Charlottesville and you're dealing with people who don't deal with in-your-face honesty like I do. I'm very blunt, very, and just very honest. So sometimes that could be a challenge. My way of approaching things can be a little bit challenging, but I make adjustments, but I stay real to who I am. I know who I am.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that being a black man creating films and as a screenwriter is going to hold you back in terms of achieving your dream and getting films made?
I would never let anyone deter my dreams. If I have a dream, I'm gonna just do it. I put out independently, like Mingle. I put out Mingle. I got awards from Mingle, but that was me pushing it out there. Me putting up money, and also my team at the time. Some of the people who starred in it and helped out with the project. Everyone chipped in. Not everyone, but most people chipped in. Yeah. And then I just continued pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and everyone know the work I put into that.
Now I saw Mingle, but not a lot of our audience. I don't know if our audience has or not. So would you tell people a little bit about Mingle?
Yeah, Mingle is an idea that a friend of mine named LK came up with, and it's basically a young man who's like a baby mama. I mean, not baby mama. I say baby mama.
You did.
A mama's baby.
I was wondering if I was watching the same film.
I know, right? No, a mama's baby, a mama's boy rather, and but he goes out on the dating scene. His mother really want a grandchild before she passes, and so he basically goes out there and try to find a lady of his, of his liking, of his desires, and he decided to go try his hand at a speed dating event, and speed dating event in New York. There's a lot of different personalities in New York, and I think we showed 4 unique personalities that all would pretty much kind of drive a person crazy.
Yep.
So we showed that, and it was funny. It was a cool little project, and I really was impressed by the dedication that my team, my cast members, and production team had put forth with that. But it was
a great job, and congratulations on the success of it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. I still want to push it, but sometimes it's time to move on to the next. Mingle still lives, and I'm still screening in different places where it hasn't screened, but only when I have the opportunity, like if I'm promoting something else and something draws me to another city or state, then I may say, let me screen Mingle along with this project, or, to open up the project or something like that. Right. So it's still going to have its life. It's just that in Charlottesville, per se, I'm not going to screen it again. I already screened it in November. I screened it last year, but it will be screened again, just not here. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite quote?
Yeah. Andrew Carnegie is one of my guys. He stated, and it's something I live by, and I've been saying this quote probably 20-something years. It's as I get older, I no longer listen to what men say. I watch what they do, and I pretty much live by that because your legacy is based on what you do in life, not what you say, not what you talk about. And so I'm not a talker. When I talk, I'm only if I talk about something that I'm doing, it's to make sure that I stay on task. If I talk about it, it's done. If I promote it on Facebook or Instagram, it's done. If I talk about it out loud, I cannot not do that. I cannot go back, or I can't drop the ball. It's done. And that's why I do everything I do. It's like that. 'Cause I do so much that sometimes me talking about it before it happens is really, I'm doing that for myself to make sure I do it. That's how much I live on that with that quote.
What would you like to tell young people about how to accomplish their dreams? What advice would you give them?
Do as much research into your dreams as possible. Whatever that dream is, learn truly what that means, what it is. Learn about what goes into it to make that a reality. You're not going to be the first person to ever do that, right? So look at those who did it already and try to, I'm a YouTube junkie, right? So I'm on YouTube all the time, tutorials. I didn't go to film school, YouTube is my film school. So if I wanted to be a filmmaker, I wanted to learn how, to use the camera. I want to be a cinematographer. I want to do all the different things. I want to do these things because I want to be the best that I can possibly be at that particular moment with my skill set. And I'm going to try to make sure my skill set increases in quality so I can be able to put out quality stuff. So I do that. That's what I do for my dream. I have this passion, this dream to be a filmmaker. And so what I'm going to do is do everything I could possibly do to become a filmmaker. But just do it, though, is the key, too. Just do it.
And you're good at just doing it,
yeah,
I have to say. What would you tell your younger self? Now that you're older, hopefully a little bit wiser, had a lot more experience, what would you tell, say, your 6-year-old self and maybe your 20-year-old self?
Man, don't do everything for money. The money will come. Just do it for the love of the craft, and you'll have a different devotion to it. I wrote my first stage play. I wrote in '97, and it was great. It was amazing. I had about 1,000 people in attendance. Made about $20-something thousand the first night, and so it was a really good play. It was a good play. So, but I brought it right back to the same market. That was October or November. I think it was October. But I brought it back at the same time, and then and then long story short, I brought it back like 6 months later. But I shouldn't have brought it back to the same market and lost money. And I was like, nah, I'm done with that one.
We are running out of time. So much like the awards ceremonies, I'm going to ask you, what would be your acceptance speech if you won an award, say at the Oscars, if you won an Oscar?
Wow. I would say thank you, God, for instilling the skill that I have, and also thank you for everything around me that was placed around me to learn from.
Well, you are definitely a humble guy, creative, hard worker, and I appreciate you taking the time out to be on the podcast Speaking Candidly with Candace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ty Cooper. Thank you for the audience for tuning in to this podcast. Remember, every cloud has a silver lining.